Welcome to episode 219 of In Touch with iOS, the show that talks about iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Apple TV, and related technologies. I am your host, Dave Ginsburg. I am so excited. I have three guests this week. My first guest, a brand new guest to the show, Ben Roethig. How you doing, Ben? Thanks for being here.
I'm good, Dave, and thanks to you for having me.
Oh, absolutely thrilled to have you here. I really appreciate it. And as we had planned, until I had a bit of a little falling, I wasn't feeling so well. We were supposed to record yesterday. This is being recorded on Friday. Michael DJ Eisenberg is here. How you doing, Michael? Thanks for coming back to the show.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate being here.
And last but certainly not least, Patrice Brend'amour is here. It's been a while. Thanks for being here, Patrice.
It's been a while. I really had to hold back when you were counting us in because I wanted to say underpants, but I
didn't. Jeff has held that to Mac Voices Live, so I think he hasn't done too much. But I made up for it on last Tuesday when he wasn't there, so for Chuck's sake. So, but anyway, I've got a few things to talk about this week. A fair amount of news, but of course, the Apple event is coming up very shortly here next Wednesday, September 7th, as we record this. So we'll probably talk a lot about that and a few other topics, but I thought that we'd just jump right in. Let's hit some of the news here for this week. First story here, new online tool lets you see how far iPhone cameras have come in 15 years. This is smartphones have improved significantly since the release of the iPhone 7, 2007. Crazy, it's been so long, 15 years. And now there's a nifty visualization to prove it. There's an interactive comparison tool that lets you compare the camera's quality of every iPhone up from the very first all the way up to the 13 Pro Max. There's a link in the article as well as in the show notes. Pretty amazing little way to just kind of show where things have gone with iPhone cameras. Some of these phones on here, I don't even know who they are. There are some other models besides iPhones, but this is cool, and I really think we're going to talk a little bit about cameras, obviously, with the announcement coming here soon. But showing the image quality between all these devices. So the first actually the comparison is other phones, and then there's the iPhone, and then it has a really cool grid showing all the differences. But boy, what a difference! What do you think, Patrice?
Yeah, if you compare it, like the first 2007 phone, it's kind of dark, and for sure the resolution probably wasn't great, but you can't tell on the small photo even all that much. But you see, all the colors are kind of gray and everything's kind of dark. And then you scroll down to 2021, the 13 Pro, and everything is really nice and vibrant and just looks like a real life. It's not like a washed out version of what you were seeing. It looks like, okay, I could be there right now. And it's been 15 years.
I can't believe it. The iPhone's been that long. Ben, you do a lot of photography with the iPhone. What do you think of this?
Oh yeah. I've personally seen how well it's grown since the 3GS all the way up to the 12 Pro Max.
Mm-hmm.
It's just remarkable how much everything has grown. I have gone from iPhone pictures being significantly worse than a dedicated camera to stop carrying around my dedicated camera, right? Using it when there are certain use cases.
I sold mine.
Yeah.
I should too, with my DSLR.
Yeah, because honestly, unless you are doing specific high zoom applications, your iPhone, or for Android users, their cameras as well, are going to be more than good enough for 99% of video and photo applications.
Yeah, a lot of professionals even these days for certain shots in certain situations use them because they think it's just the better for that situation, the best camera they have.
Mm-hmm. And it's always in your pocket.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Any thoughts on that, Michael?
Well, several. Before the iPhone came out with the great camera, I got a Sony DSLR camera for like $500, and then the iPhone comes out. It's like, do I really need this? Because I mean, the camera's huge and bulky, as Ben was commenting on. But it kind of dawned on me the other day that I don't need to look at this graphic from the article to realize how the iPhone's grown, because anyone with a Facebook account who gets reminded of an event 5, 10, 15 years ago can see the quality of their iPhone camera photos just improving over time. Mm-hmm. And it's also funny that sometimes I'll get new pictures from family and friends. I'm like, so I know you have an iPhone, but you don't have the most current one, do you? Because you've got like maybe several generations back or a lot of generations back because of the quality of the picture that comes out. And it frustrates me. My wife gets one and she hangs on to it for 3 to 5 years, and her photos aren't as nice as mine. And I'm like, okay, so we need to use my camera, my phone, not yours. And she's like, well, there's nothing wrong with mine. I'm like, it's fine, but mine's a little better.
Yeah, I get every day. Actually, every day I look in OneDrive at the photos that I took over the years, and you can tell. Like you go back to I think 2011 or so. I think it's the first one I have, and it's a massive difference. Like sometimes I'm like I look at it and I'm like a little sad because I wish I had a better photo of it of the situation. So.
Apple needs to come out with some sort of app where you can magically improve your iPhone 7 apps to look like iPhone 13 apps. But that's probably way above my pay grade.
Yeah. I mean, if they could do that in machine learning. I mean, the way that, I
think they can do that actually. But it's probably beyond what the phone can do right now. But I mean, there have been movie re-releases recently that were basically improved with AI.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
like the colorization of black and white.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, kind of. But like it cleared up the quality. Like when it was shot on like lower quality, it like they rested up, I think even to 8K and then down rested again to like 4K, stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
So I mean, that's not something that you and me have available, and it probably costs a lot of money to do that. So probably still a little bit beyond the iPhone, but eventually I think we will get that, and that would be cool.
Yep. I will say this. The photo behind me is 100% Apple. I'm good, but I ain't that good.
Wait, Apple, they took it or you took it with an Apple device?
What the iPhone does is it takes several images and uses machine learning to kind of improve everything.
So wait, did you take that picture though behind you?
Yeah. That was one.
Okay. I wasn't sure if you're talking about like this is just from their album of photos they give you with every new update kind of thing.
Nope. I took that. Apple made it actually decent.
It looks very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. All right, let's go ahead and move on here. Next story: Apple settles lawsuit with developer over App Store scams. This is actually from Apple Insider. Our friend Andrew Orr wrote this article here. Apple has reached a settlement with Costa. I'll probably fumble this. Etherew, a developer who sued the company over scams in the App Store and copycat keyboards. He's known for he is known for fake reviews on the App Store, as well as his prevalence of scam apps. He developed FlickType, an Apple Watch keyboard. He found an abundance of apps that copied FlickType, and these competitors even go so far as stealing his promo videos. Jeez. Expressing his frustration with the App Store review team over the apps copied and pasted. He copied and pasted the reviews with 5-star ratings. He sued Apple in 2021 after Apple released the Apple Watch Series 7. Thanks to device's larger screen, the company released a full keyboard for its own swiping capabilities. Apple rejected the FlickType numerous times in the past, but didn't remove the copycat apps. So I can see why he's a little unhappy with this. But Apple did settle a lawsuit with him, and a request for dismissal of the lawsuit was filed in July of 2021 after Apple and KPaw, his company, finalized an agreement. Well, of course, we got the lawyer here in the room here, so I've thought, why not, Michael? What do you think about this?
Well, you know what this reminds me of, and please remember, I'm not giving out legal advice, and I'm not an expert in this particular area. But What it does remind me of is that when you put a review on Yelp, or for instance, a lawyer review site, the company has, quote unquote, no responsibility to make sure whether or not it's true and accurate or not. And that seems to be what's going on here with Apple. That Apple's like, okay, we saw you, we didn't see them, so we're just getting rid of you. And they're not being responsive to the complaints of that particular individual that, hey, there's nothing wrong with mine. And B, you've got these other people doing the same things you're accusing me of, but you're not going after them. So it's a complete hands-off approach in both areas. And that just drives me nuts because it's shirking responsibility and it's negatively impacting others. So if you're on Yelp and you got this restaurant, this person gives you a 0 referral because, they got a vendetta against you. They had one bad day of service, or the client or the customer was just a jerk and you can't get rid of it. I mean, that's just ridiculous. And same thing kind of is going on with the Apple store. They're just taking a hands-off approach. And as long as they're getting money, they don't care. Yelp doesn't care because they're getting money because they're getting traffic. And the same thing with like a lot of the lawyer review sites. I don't participate in any of them. I've got good reviews. I got bad reviews. And some of the reviews, I'm like, I don't know where they're coming from. It's like there's one I'm thinking in particular where, I got a 1 star out of 5 because I'm just a horrible person. Fine, but I've never met you. And that, of course, affects the overall, ratings that you get from that site. And of course, not that I'm using it, but that doesn't mean people aren't looking at it.
Yeah.
By the way, David, you said that he was known for bad reviews.
That's what it said in the article. Anyway.
No, he was known for highlighting fake reviews.
Oh, I'm sorry. I misspoke. Thank you.
Yeah, I think
my
that's
apologies.
An important distinction. Like he
Thank
was
you
known
very
for
much.
Highlighting and
very much a
things
distinction.
out.
Yes, please. Thank you for the correction. That was bad. My bad.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm with Michael on this one. Like it's. Apple is not treating everybody equally. They pretend to, but they don't. Like, I mean, someone gets rejected, like he got rejected for a feature, and there were like 1 million apps in the store that already do that. And we've heard many stories like that where someone gets rejected for something that others are doing. And if you tell that to Apple is like, well, that we don't care because we're talking about you.
Well, if I may, it sounds like the problem that Facebook's having, and we could say the same with Apple and Yelp and other sites, is that they don't want to be a content monitor unless it's just like extremely in their face. And quite frankly, you have a responsibility. If this is your platform, you have a responsibility to make sure it's safe and accurate and fair to everybody, and also not going to cause harm to anyone. You invite someone into your house, they slip and fall on a toy or, a spill of water or whatever. And it's like, oh, that's not my fault. I own the house, but I'm not monitoring it. That's not exactly how it would work in many states. I won't say which ones.
Any thoughts, Ben, before we move on?
I mean, copycats have been a problem with the App Store since basically day one. I mean, I'm not going to say who. Well, I mean, you have companies like Gameloft who have made a business out of, shall we say, games inspired by other games. I mean, you have, everybody comes up with an app and 300,000 copies of it are up the next week. I mean, it's not as unsafe as Android, but honestly, Apple doesn't seem to much care about the developers other than how they affect their bottom line.
Yep, I agree. Okay, next story here, Satechi, which is one of my favorite accessories makers, launched a new USB-C hub for the M1 iPads. Popular accessory maker Satechi announced the launch of an upgraded USB-C Mobile Pro Hub SD that had been developed for the M1 Pro iPad Pro, which I own. It also works with the M1 iPad Air. The hub includes a 60-watt USB-C port that can be used for charging an iPad. Also can charge USB devices that are connected to it. So it's got it goes with the HDMI. It's got SD card and micro SD, and it's also got audio, an audio jack in there as well. Of course, I had to buy it. It hasn't arrived.
Of course,
it hasn't arrived just yet, but I'm going to definitely do a review of it. It might be a cool thing next week on a certain show, the Mac show, at some point. They make some great stuff. Patrice, I know you buy. I'm sure you all have bought and purchased.
For sure. I don't even remember what I have bought of theirs because it has been so much. Yeah, their products are in general great, and I think this is a good. I mean, is it the only on the market? No, like USB-C hubs USB-C hubs have been out there. But I really like this one. Like it's nice and small. I mean, it's basically for the use case where you want to maybe charge your iPad and like use like whatever USB device or connect to HDMI for. I mean, probably a frequent use case, connected to by HDMI to a TV or a projector or something, and charge it at the same time. Exactly. And maybe, I don't know, load the presentation from a USB stick that you're showing. It's quite nice. And it's not expensive. Like $70 is not. I mean, for a good product like this, it's not that much.
I think I got the 20% discount. That was through. I'm still active as we record this until September 5th. So it was a good deal. I saw both you guys shaking your heads. Any thoughts before we move on?
I've never used the iPad in such a way that I've needed all those ports. I realize that there's probably more I could use out of it, but for the iPad, it's just not the laptop killer that I need it to be. And so I always have my laptop with me.
Mm.
Yep. I will actually take somewhat the opposite approach here. I mean, I've been on the Mac since the early 90s. I'm used to the Mac to the point where I don't know if I can fully go over to the iPad. But I mean, with a high quality hub like this, the iPad is definitely able to be the main computer for the vast majority of people.
Yeah. I mean, one case where I would use something like this, and actually I have another hub that I use for that, is when you're like traveling and you want to watch TV and you don't want to carry your Apple TV with you, which you could, but I mean, sometimes it's just too much. But you have your iPad, just plug in this hub, plug in like the like hotel TV and the charger so the battery doesn't die on you, and you can watch TV from your iPad on the whatever big screen they have.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. So, all right. Then the last story this week, T-Mobile has added free Apple TV Plus to its most popular Magenta Max plan. T-Mobile announced that they're adding the Apple TV Plus subscription to their plan, giving T-Mobile customers unlimited access to Apple's original content, the hit shows, and all. I can't wait till Ted Lasso comes back out. And so they did announce this, and this seems like kind of a trend. A lot of carriers, especially T-Mobile. I'm a T-Mobile customer, a very happy T-Mobile customer for that matter. Mm-hmm. And they seem to be all. I mean, I get Netflix more or less for free, and I get some of the other services. But this doesn't include, I looked at the fine print, it doesn't include if you have the Apple One bundle. So if you've already bundled it, you're not going to get it. So what do you think, Ben?
I think at this point, T-Mobile is giving you half your rent in the Magenta Max plan.
Yeah.
I mean, this is kind of T-Mobile's way. I mean, they have historically had a lesser network. Definitely not now. They've improved that considerably. Pointing over the Sprint spectrum. But they know that they are a little bit behind when it comes to mind share, so they're giving a lot of freebies.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, and I mean, given how much you pay for that plan, I mean, you should get something.
For sure. Any thoughts, Michael?
I've got none. It's just another marketing ploy, and I get it. And, it's what they need to do to get more customers. For the blog, I use Verizon. For the firm, I use AT&T. Sure. And I've been very happy with AT&T. And I have no comments about Verizon for that matter.
Yeah.
Good, I mean, and I'm pretty sure Apple is paying a little bit for that too.
Oh, I'm sure.
I bet.
I don't think Apple's paying for that at all. I think T-Mobile's paying for that.
I mean, Apple has been doing Apple TV Plus promotions a lot. Like, I mean, they did it with Best Buy, for example. They've done it with a couple others. So I think there is probably a little bit of that. Like, Apple is willing to do it, and either give them a little bit of a discount and say, like, T-Mobile, you don't get charged the full price or something. I'm pretty sure Apple is somehow involved in that one.
Perhaps.
Yep. Absolutely. All right. That's news this week. As we always do every week on the show here, we talk about beta, and this week is no exception. Beta this week, iOS 16 Beta 8 has been released. Notably, they've got have introduced a revamped lock screen that offers a new level of personalization and customization through widgets, notification redesign, adjustable fonts, lots of different stuff here, and then we've been talking about it for weeks now. I think it's inevitable here. It's going to be released next week, or possibly the following Tuesday, before the iPhone 14 is released. So, Ben, do you do any beta? Do you dabble in beta at all?
Oh yes, yeah. I've been on the beta since the public beta was released.
Okay.
I mean, with how quickly they're releasing updates on this, and the fact that I've seen most of, if not all, the bugs I've noticed be completed, I think this is probably the last update before the RC.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
100%. And definitely looks, and iPad OS, obviously, as we reported last week, is separated now because it's not going to be released next week because they're still working on it. So it's going to go. Actually, iPad OS 16.1 is probably going to be the first release for that version. So we're going to be going that. I know, Michael, you don't dabble in any beta for this, right?
I don't touch it. It's too risky. And I mean, for the blog, I have a Windows device, not a Mac device. And although, you see that I got an old iMac there that's ended its lease, and I'm on a MacBook Pro right now. I don't touch betas because if something goes down, I'm, screwed.
Yeah, that's why I have spare devices that I do it on. I know, Patrice, you live on the edge. You have everything on beta.
Oh, right? I have everything on beta. I think this machine might be the only one that's not. Mostly because Audio Hijack is not working. Because if Audio Hijack was working, I'd switched a long time ago.
Yeah.
So I'm a developer at heart, and I do a lot of development stuff. And I would say 50% of my software is beta. Including Audio Hijack, by the way, that's a beta software installed.
Yep.
So yeah.
And you got Watch OS 9 betas out, and you got TV OS 16 that's out. That's being worked as well. So you would anticipate those two would probably be released since there's going to be an Apple Watch. We'll talk about it in just a second.
It's going to be awkward for about a month for a lot of developers because iOS, the new iOS is out, and we're going to release our software on that, but we can't do it on iPad OS. And for some people who have where it's the same binary that works across multiple platforms, that's going to be a little bit of a problem. You can't release your iPad build yet, or you can't even release your iPhone or iOS build yet because it wouldn't work on iPads.
Yeah. I wonder if we're going to see some apps just held back till October.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see that. I mean, hopefully not, because hopefully you've written your stuff in a way that it still works on the old OS. But I think there will be some people who do that. Absolutely.
So that kind of is a good way to lead right into what the big discussion this week. Where our predictions, what's going to happen at the Apple event. The Apple event's going to be on Wednesday, September 7th. Unusual day this time. I think the last time they had it on a Wednesday was back in 2016. So, but maybe we're thinking, why did they do that? Maybe because it was the Labor Day holiday in the United States. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, they got the date set. I'm excited. We're going to be covering it, and we'll definitely have our post coverage next week. So as many other podcasts, I'll be on next week as well. So, but let's. I like to just talk with all of you what we'd like to see, but let's. I wanted to start off with everybody's talking about iPhone first. Let's talk about Apple Watch. What do you want to see with the Apple Watch? There was a story here. I have a link in the show notes that the Series 7 watch and the SE watch have become pretty much unavailable before this event, which is rather interesting. So, especially the SE, maybe that's kind of telling me maybe is there going to be an SE upgrade? I mean, we've talked about the Watch Series 9 that's going to be out. I'm sorry, Series 8 that's going to be out. For sure, I think. But what do you guys want to see? Patrice, do you think the SE is going to be something that's going to get updated?
I mean, yeah, I would be surprised. I mean, I hope the like Apple Watch Series 3 is out, because that thing is so old and it's not going to run the new Apple Watch, the new WatchOS. So I hope that one is out. Honestly, the SE is not that much better. Like it's not very, very modern. So I hope they drop it and do something, because like for developers, it's a pain. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
For features, I mean, honestly, I hope for some enhanced like sleep features and maybe an extra sensor.
Mm-hmm.
That would be great.
Okay.
Like body temperature or something. I don't think blood glucose is ready, but like maybe body temperature they could do.
Yeah, I wish it was. I mean, people have been asking about that for
since the Apple
years.
Watch was released.
Michael and I's friend Davis was doing a podcast about tech for the diabetic tech savvy stuff, and that's just so huge. Him and I had plenty of conversations about that, and yeah, I know Apple would do it if that they're just not ready with the technology just yet.
Yeah.
So, what about you, Michael? I think you have an Apple Watch, but what?
Oh, I have an Apple Watch. I got to double check. Actually, I was doing that now. I think I have a 4.
Series 4? Okay.
Yeah, Series 4. And I just haven't seen the need to upgrade yet. I mean, yes, there's some new health benefits, and I'm sure they'll make more health benefits, but this has been a solid watch. There's been, no issues with the Apple Watch OS, and I can't justify yet getting an upgrade. It's solid, and I get the middle of the line. I get the stainless steel, not the aluminum, because as I had learned, as I read in a blog entry once, another attorney's like, so his mother asked him, so, when you go to court, you're going to wear the watch? And he's like, yeah. He's like, well, do you want them to see an aluminum watch? You want them to see, silver, a steel watch? And, it just looks more professional. And I like it. It's, like I said, it's solid. I've got I still have the linked bracelet that I bought with a Series 0.
Oh, wow.
And actually, I heard there's rumors that the next Apple Watch there may be a Pro version where the bands may not work anymore.
That was,
that was interesting.
I was worried in the very beginning that, Apple watch bands were going to go the way of like getting a skin for your phone or your laptop, that, if you move to the next generation, it's not going to fit because of different ports and whatnot. And I hope this does not become a trend with Apple Watches, because I don't need to be spending more money on accessories.
Yeah. All of us, we all have lots of bands.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah.
I've got one other band, and I keep forgetting to switch it.
I've been wearing the solo loop here forever. I haven't changed it since I got it. I love this band. Yeah.
Yeah. I rarely ever switch out. Like, this is I think last year's Pride band, and I rarely ever switched that.
Is that a Weave band?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they did I think last year they did like one of the solo bands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because
just
early
like this
on
one.
I did. But early on, I had done a Weave band, and it was discolored because I was getting sweaty.
I don't have that problem. I've had this. No, actually, I think it's 2 years old even.
Okay.
It's been a while. I wash it every now and then.
I'm talking years ago, though. But I'm talking years ago. So
yeah. But go ahead, Ben.
I've been literally on the same nylon sport loop band since the Series 0.
Okay.
They're really good.
They're good. I pull up my collection behind me here. I got way too many.
You got a box,
including a Cubs band I haven't worn in a long time. So I got to must represent the sports team here too. But you just mentioned the Rugged Pro Apple Watch. They are working on, from what the rumors are, an extreme sports version that will have a much larger screen. Definitely not something I would probably be interested in. I'm going to imagine the pricing is going to be quite a bit higher. So. Because it's going to be, for athletes, hikers, and others who want to do more extreme conditions, that's probably going to be that audience for that particular watch. It's going to be interesting to see where that goes. But like I said, you can expect that or higher price tag for sure. And there are going to be people who spend it as far as the watch goes.
Any bets on whether we're going to see someone climbing up a mountain?
Yeah. To show it's extreme.
Yeah, exactly.
Couple of the health features. The chip's going to be upgraded S8. They're saying from the S7. I don't think that's too important for most people. Temperature sensor could be added in as a possible health feature. So they're looking at some of those kind of things here. This was interesting one I mentioned. So we're going to talk about car here in a little bit. The car crash detection. We already got the fall detection on the Apple Watch. I mean, it's interesting to see if that's going to come to be. Because of the accelerometer that can detect car accidents.
That kind of makes sense because that's probably a good chunk of the accidents that happen while you have a watch on. I mean, it's probably falls and then probably car crashes as the next option or the next most likely one. So, kind of makes sense.
They also said with the activity tracking, there's going to be probably a boatload of updates to activity tracking, and nothing really specific, but. This was interesting too. There's an Apple Watch patent. You can't watch the patents really because Apple does do a lot of patents, and a lot of times they don't come to be. But they're saying potentially there could be for biometric authentication, featuring an authentication identity based on the wearer's skin pattern. That's interesting. It could eliminate the need for a passcode when wearing the Apple Watch. I'd like to see that. That should be an interesting type of thing too. So, I'm glad to see another year of another Apple Watch. I have the Series 7, and I'll resist so hard not to buy the Series 8, but I'll give in. And
I didn't get the 7 last year, so
I wasn't going to, but I ended up doing it. That Apple Card, Patrice, I'm telling you, it's just too easy. I go looking back.
But Dave, what would be the need? Or what would be the factor that would make you jump from the 7 to the 8? What is that one thing that you're looking for? You just want the next new shiny thing.
Just the upgrade. Just like I upgrade the iPhone every year too, as I'm on the upgrade program. So I'm
same here.
So
I'm not because I can't.
Yeah,
program is not available here.
Just like Apple Card, I know. I'm sorry. I wish you had it out there. It's so awesome.
Well, I still have an Apple Card, so that's a different story.
Yeah.
But the upgrade program, I don't get.
Yeah. So. Are you gonna? Do you think you'd upgrade, Ben? Which one do you have right now?
Series 7 Blue.
Yeah, I have the blue one too. I think we have the same one. See.
Oh yeah. Probably the same. Probably came with the same band.
Yeah, I went right with this one, but yeah. I mean,
hey, wait. I forgive me. I have to interject here. Okay, I have breaking news.
Uh-oh.
So. Forgive me, because I went in the Apple Store to look at my Apple Store to figure out whether or not what watch I had right now. And I looked at my order regarding my Mac Studio that I had ordered with the M1 Ultra chip that I'm supposed to get in October 13th to October 20th. And, obviously that's another
month.
6 weeks. 6+ weeks. And it just moved from processing to preparing to ship.
Nice.
So,
breaking news.
Yeah. I'm really excited. Of course, I'm going to be really pissed if they come out with the Mac Studio, but with the M2 chip in it. After all the time because I ordered this back in late July.
Oh my gosh.
So 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 it's breaking news, and we'll see if we get upsetting news in the next couple of weeks with the Apple announcements.
Let's ship the one for Michael, and then we'll switch.
Yeah, pretty much. And Dave, forgive me for interrupting the show with.
I'm happy to open up for any breaking news for some exciting Apple products arriving in your home.
In post production, you need to put like breaking news banner.
That's right. A couple other things with the Apple Watch. There is going to be a new color option, red. That's going to be interesting because the product red, they hadn't put that on the Apple Watch. And one notable thing I think is going to be good, because if I seem to remember correctly, when the Series 7 came out, they had a huge backlog in trying to get one. I gave in, and this is actually the cellular version because they had it in stock, but the regular one they didn't. So I think I did that 2 years in a row. But as I don't find any value of having cellular on the Apple Watch, so I just don't use it. But but they're saying
this will be my last cellular.
Yeah. So the rumors are saying that potentially that the shipping, they're doing a much better job with production. So yeah, if I do decide to go to Series 8, I'll probably do my best to be a non-cellular version.
Yeah, but what might make the cellular version worth it would be if the new rumored satellite service comes to the Apple Watch. I've been thinking about that, like a satellite emergency service, like those really expensive watches that you can buy where you can no matter where you're in the world,
right?
They will send someone to rescue you, basically. If they can do that.
But Patrice, how often are the four of us going to be in somewhere in the world where, quite frankly, we're not going to have cell service?
It does actually, I live in Austria, and it does actually happen quite often here. In the mountains and stuff, people get stuck up on mountains somewhere for 12, 14, 16 hours before someone notices and sends the rescue team. So I would say it's not uncommon.
I do have a friend who goes to South America. Antarctica. Forgive me.
Oh yeah.
Once a year for work, so I could see him needing it there. But I'm sorry, I interrupted Ben.
I was going to say, I live in a place where we have very high lead-lined cliffs. So once you get off the main roads and down into the valleys, like hiking, cellular service is not a guarantee, especially with U.S. Cellular, who have not kept up with their network.
Yep. All right. Let's go ahead and move on. We can briefly go through the Apple, the iPhone. Let me just open it up, Patrice. What are you hoping to see with the iPhone 14?
That is a really good question. I think for the most part, a little bit better battery life would be great. Always on display, on top of that I think is the one that I think most people are thinking is going to happen. Other than that, I mean, I'm going to upgrade because I always do, but I'm not looking for anything specific.
No? How about you, Ben?
It's a really good device.
I'm really happy with my iPhone 12 Max.
Okay.
So I don't know if there's a lot that can get me to upgrade, but I mean, honestly, I think the two things that could get me to upgrade, we won't be seeing for a while, and that's USB-C and a foldable.
Yeah, well, foldable, that's a whole nother story.
Yeah. And USB-C, not going to happen.
Yeah, I just don't see that happening right away. I mean, still, unfortunately, I know the Lightning is long in the tooth to be replaced, but I don't see it happening anytime soon. Maybe next year, who knows?
But I mean, when it comes down to it, creating this architecture that is also designed for computers, for the last couple of years, Apple has made phones that are too damn good for their own good.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Michael? You're like me. You upgrade every year?
I upgrade every year, but also I will probably try to convince the wife to upgrade from her 10 to the 14.
Oh my God, she's overdue.
Well, I know some people who have 7 and they're happy with it. I'm like,
they can't be anymore. It's on the line though.
But
True.
I mean, the one thing I could tell from her phone to mine is the pictures, and it drives me nuts. And so this could be a good reason, hopefully, to get her to upgrade.
Is that your 7?
My old work phone was a 7. I literally just upgraded it.
And Patrice and I both use iPhones as cameras, they're webcams. So you're looking at right now. So
I think I still have a 7 Plus in the drawer beside me.
This one's a 10R, so it's still current. So I'm okay.
This is a new SE. So
I mean, some of a lot of the chatter been the cameras. They're going to do some major upgrading to the cameras, probably, as they do every year. Probably the wider angle lens, more higher sensor. So you're going to see changes. I think they're rumoring the 48 megapixel wide camera and focus pixels. I mean, that's going to be interesting if that comes to the truth. But yeah, I think the satellite-based features is going to be something that'll be definitely notable. Of note, I don't think it's too terribly important, but no surprise that they're going to upgrade. So with the Wi-Fi 6E is connectivity, and not a lot of people have that right now. So I don't think that's a huge feature. I do now because I have I have the Eero that I bought maybe a month ago here at Lovin', and I did a review of that in the previous show. So. Yeah, I see some differences in that. I also see storage. They were talking about potentially there being a 2 terabyte version, which I think is insane for an iPhone. More so, I would think it would lean on the high end, maybe the Pro Max, for those who want to, who are serious photographers using iPhones and need the storage. I can imagine the price is going to put it over $2,000, I would think, but if that were the case. But the 1 terabyte, I thought it's too much as it is. I have a sweet spot. 256 is more than enough for me.
Yep.
And you had to get at least 256 anyway because of the RAW and the higher video resolution too.
Yeah, I mean, with iCloud offload, I have been perfectly fine with 256.
Yeah, no.
And I put a lot of crap on my phone.
I do too.
It's funny you talk about iCloud because there was an article recently about how. Forgive me if I'm going off topic.
That's right.
Because I don't like the cloud services with regards to backing up your photos. Not that I'm doing quote unquote anything illicit, but some guy got contacted by the police because the Google police contacted the authorities because he had taken some photographs of his young child who had some rashes, and he was sending it to the doctor, and the Google police were snooping and doing whatever. I know Apple is much better regarding privacy. They tried to roll out some sort of algorithm a couple years ago with known, pictures. But I just don't like the whole concept of people looking in my private photos for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, but I mean, there are solutions for that. Like you can offload the photos into your own private cloud storage that you host and not have it on your phone. I just checked. I have 130 gigs of data on my phone.
Now I've been writing an editorial because think about those people who do deal with that stuff in a professional legal way, whether it's the police or attorneys or prosecutors. And, they get called by the Apple or Google police because, hey, you have this, on your computer, on your device, whatever. Well, of course I do. I'm prosecuting or I'm or defending, they're, entitled to defense attorneys too. It's just, it makes me really uncomfortable, but forgive me, went off topic.
No, of course. Any other thoughts? I mean, let's just go watch the event next week, and we're definitely going to cover it here. You're going to be seeing a lot of coverage everywhere.
But I do know what the big story out of that's going to be.
What's that?
The big story out of the new iPhone. It's going to be the notch.
Oh yeah, I didn't mention that.
It's going to be the notch. It's going to be too big, too obvious.
It's a pinhole now.
No, I thought it was going to be a wider one. I thought it was going to be bigger to encapsulate the new camera and the mic.
There's conflicting stories from the
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either way, like no matter what it is, there's gonna be a problem with it.
Yeah. I don't care about the notch. I never have. I don't mind it on my MacBook Pro. I don't
see it.
I don't even see it.
I don't even notice it.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll definitely give you the coverage to the after show. So and there's going to be a lot to talk about. So I got a couple other stories I wanted to chat about this week. Topics, I should say. Could this be the future? T-Mobile has partnered with SpaceX, and they're looking to have coverage using the Starlight satellites. So they sent out a press release earlier this week saying that they were going to use low Earth orbit satellites and partner with SpaceX to get better coverage in the rural areas around the world, for that matter. You know, there's coverage that are tough to deal with sometimes when it comes to this. And thought this was an interesting topic to chat about. Of course, we love Elon Musk. No, but I think. Like they mentioned here, there's well over 500,000 square miles in the United States, in addition to vast stretches of ocean that are untouched by cell signals for any provider. Yeah. So I think this is a huge stride towards doing this, because we all know that satellite coverage was never really great, because we've had satellite internet has always been a lag. And so I'd be interested to see where this goes. I don't know what your thoughts are, Patrice, about this, as far as where this would go.
I mean, we just talked about it. Like the places where you want coverage, and it's not coverage for I can watch the latest TikTok like a video. It's coverage for I can call someone if I need help. For emergencies. And as I said, the places that you just mentioned are exactly the places where you would want coverage and you don't have it. Right. So this totally makes sense. Like, I mean, this kind of obvious. And I know some people who are on Starlink, and they're really happy. I mean, one of my employees, like here in Austria, like he lives in the middle of nowhere. Like he said, like satellite access is the thing that is the easiest for him, because he has he lives basically on a mountain, and like he has perfect sight to any satellite. So like getting DSL there or anything like that, impossible. Yeah. But satellite internet, not a problem. And he's like, it's perfectly fine. We have no problems with video calls, nothing. Like weather hasn't been a big problem either. So I'm very excited about this. Like I think this is a good step.
Definitely. What do you think, Ben?
I mean, we have places in this country which are, I hate to say it, basically third world when it comes to telecommunications infrastructure. Yes. Let alone other countries. I mean, bundling satellites and cellular together on basically the same frequencies and doing it in a way that is seamless. Mm-hmm. I mean, that definitely makes things better. You're not, like people have said, you're not going to be watching YouTube videos on cellular. But I mean, getting out an email, getting out a text message, getting out a phone call can be the difference between life and death in some situations.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, for sure. So what do you think, Michael?
I think, I'm putting two and two together. I would not be surprised if we have some sort of special announcement with Apple announcing that the new iPhone satellite is going to be tied exclusively with T-Mobile. Mm-hmm. Sort of like what they did when they first came out with the iPhone with AT&T, right? Or maybe one of the other two or three carriers, two carriers now.
Wasn't 5G on Verizon originally? I think so. I think they talked about 5G and Verizon a lot during that event. 2 years ago.
I think I recall that, because AT&T was the last of 5G.
Yeah. And I think also that the technology will increase to such a degree that you will be able to get, a great upload download speed when you're, in the mountains in the Himalayas or on the Pacific Ocean on a boat, so that you can watch your TikToks and your YouTube, because that's what you need to be doing when you're lying on a raft waiting to be rescued.
Yeah.
True.
I guess some time.
And I'll just kind of add to what Ben mentioned about, these areas that are to struggle with having any coverage anywhere for internet. and none of these internet providers like Xfinity or AT&T or any of these companies are even willing to go and run fiber or cable lines to those locations because it's too costly for them.
Yeah, because I mean, if you go and look at your cellular coverage map, there'll be like large portions of the Dakotas, Montana, Wyoming,
right,
northern Colorado that are literal dead zones.
Yeah, so this is a welcome thing. I think I'm hoping that it does come to those areas so that you get good internet coverage, because I know we all know we've been in hot spots where it's just impossible. I can't get on the internet. This is crazy. I'm going nuts. I gotta have it. So, definitely important here. So,
though I do have to say one thing.
Mm-hmm.
My family's cabin is in one of those dead zones.
Uh-huh.
And when I'm vacationing, I kind of actually like not having signal.
Yep, definitely important. So,
and you can say about Elon Musk what you want, and you can even argue about the satellites and the issues that they cause, because there are so many up there already, and they need more. But they're doing a lot of things for people in those rural areas.
Yeah,
boldness
is not one of the things he is lacking.
No. And then the last topic this week I wanted to touch on a little bit here is the Apple Car. There's always been a rumor about this for years and years. They did a survey that the Apple Car is highly rated by possible buyers before it even exists. There was a survey of car buyers that report a quarter would definitely consider an Apple Car, including more than 50% of the Tesla owners asked, which is interesting. Apple has not officially or even hinted that it's working on an Apple Car. But the torrent of patents and regulatory paperwork that's been filed, it means it's a serious project. But I don't see it happening in the next few years, but there's definitely a strategic vision that's going to be report that consulting that actually did this with 3 decades. It's surveying new car vehicle owners or what they would consider, and they based it on more so on the branding, because they say Apple Car and Apple is a good brand, and Apple is the third highest brand consideration, with 26% of customers stating that they would definitely consider an Apple branded vehicle in the future. Versus just behind Toyota, Honda, and followed by Ford and Tesla. So, Patrice, what do you think? Do you think an Apple Car is going to come to fruition? I have doubts. I mean, the EVs are just so. I mean, all these car manufacturers are setting their goals to 2030, 2035. They're going to be all electric. I mean, I'm a big Dodge fan. The Dodge Charger is gone after 2023 because it's the muscle cars. So they're all electric. They introduced the electric car, and I find it crazy that a muscle car like Dodge Charger is going to be electric. But that's a whole other story.
Ford F-150, right?
Yeah, that too.
I mean, for one, this whole thing, I mean, I can just chuckle about this. Like, they ask people to imagine something and then ask them whether they would buy it. So, I mean, that's in itself kind of a weird question. But I do believe that Apple is, we do know that Apple is working on it. They have not officially admitted it, but all the job postings and the regulatory filings and all of that, it is very, very clear that they're working on it.
Yeah.
And I mean, Tim Cook has hinted at least at it. He never flat out said, yes, we're working on a car, but he did mention, drop a hint here or there, because it was so obvious already. Why hold back? I think I do think eventually they're going to build a car, but it's probably not going to be one that you buy.
Right.
Yeah. And it's probably 5 to 10 years away still. Maybe 20. I think I said 2028. That's my prediction right now.
That sounds about fair. What do you think, Ben? Is it something that it's going to maybe be sooner, or do you think it's going to be like what Patrice says?
I think the Apple, Project Titan is the current version of the Apple TV. I think what Apple showed off at WWDC as far as a car interface is great. But I also don't know if I want Apple producing my car. Okay. And I also don't know if there's one car that can fit the wants and desires of the entire world.
No, it won't. It won't. I'm pretty sure what Apple is doing is more in the direction of Waymo, to offer a car service that you can hire, and it's like a self-driving car that comes to you when you need it.
Yeah,
and maybe even different models, because I think once they have the technology down, it doesn't really matter what car it is as much.
Yeah, and I mean, we're seeing GM, Ford, and Hyundai make increasingly mainstream electric vehicles that in many cases are very close to their gas-powered ones. I mean, these...
Or surpass them, like the Ford F-150.
Lightning, Ford F-150.
The Lightning,
Yeah, GM Blazer EV. They know how to mass-produce vehicles. They know what car buyers buy. And I think for Apple, it's a lot easier to work on the car experience. But to be honest, that's the lacking part of modern vehicles with their 10,000-inch screens.
CarPlay.
And I really liked what I saw out of future CarPlay.
Yeah.
Me too.
What do you think, Michael? Do you have any? Would you drive an Apple car?
I would drive an Apple car, but I wouldn't purchase one until we get version 2.0.
Yeah.
And
good point.
And the same thing with the operating system, a 2.0. I'm not going to jump in. Like, I wouldn't buy the first Tesla or be the first, moonshot as a guest passenger kind of thing. I'd wait a while, let them work out the kinks, and even then keep an eye on it.
Yeah, absolutely. As I mentioned about the Dodge Charger, even Dodge patented the sound, and it's not really a sound. It actually is derived from the actual electric motors that are in the vehicle. And when you rev the car and you go to drive it, it'll actually sound like my Charger, where it revs and it gives me the muscle.
Yeah, I will have to say this about that. Kind of getting off topic. Stellantis, who is now the owner of Chrysler, they handled that set of announcements absolutely horribly.
I agree. It was I watched the whole thing. So
because they announced that they were discontinuing the Charger and Challenger.
Right.
Then they announced the very European-based Hornet, and then they announced the EV Charger, almost looking as like they're like, oh, we screwed up.
Yeah. So the Hornet, I think, is going to be a big selling car. I mean, it's the technology I saw that was in it, and I think that's going to be out in the fall. I believe that vehicle is going to be available. So, but I think that's going to be a hybrid, though. That model, at least for now. So it's definitely going to be interesting times in the car world for electric vehicles and CarPlay. I mean, I agree with you. I think that full out screen for CarPlay, I would love to see that come into play for vehicles for the future. So, and I think Apple's going to be really there with that part of the technology, at least the CarPlay part of it, probably sooner than later. So. All right, I think we've just gone through a full hour here and just had a blast with all our great conversations. Let me go ahead and wrap things up throughout the show. That is a wrap for this week. Please send your comments, questions, and suggestions to our email address, which is feedback@intouchwithios.com. You can follow us on Twitter @intouchwithios. Support the show. Buy me a coffee at intouchwithios.com/coffee. We would really appreciate it. You can become a patron of the show by going to patreon.com/intouchwithios. We have 2 tiers available to support the show. We would really appreciate it. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and smash that bell to be notified when we are live streaming, which is usually on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/intouchwithios. Visit In Touch with iOS magazine on Flipboard, where many of the articles that we discuss, including the ones that we just discussed today, are flipped into that magazine. You can find the link in our show notes. You can subscribe to the show in your favorite podcatcher, including Mimir, Pocket Cast, Overcast, and many others. But better yet, go to our website at intouchwithios.com, where all the links to all the ways to listen to us are there. I am Dave Ginsburg, and you can find me on Twitter at DaveG65. Ben, thanks so much for being here as a first-time guest. Really appreciate you being here. Where can people find you?
You can find me at Ben Roethig on social media. You can also find me occasionally on the British Tech Network. And hopefully I got some more things coming soon.
Absolutely, and we'll definitely have you back. So thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Patrice, always a thrill and a pleasure to have you on the show. And where can people find you?
Well, you can find me on The Big Show and The Mac Show on the British Tech Network, Thursdays and Fridays always, except for next week because we're skipping Big Show on Thursday. You can find everything I'm doing, the social media links, the projects, the podcasts. If you want to buy me a coffee, all of that on thepatrice.com. And if you want to listen to really interesting people talk about food and food-related stories and memories, I have an interview show called Foodie Flashback at foodieflashback.com where I interview those people.
I was on it, and you definitely got to come to Chicago soon.
Oh, yes, I do.
Oh, yes.
And last but not certainly not least, Michael DJ Eisenberg, thank you for being here as well and adjusting your schedule to being with us. Where can people find you?
Thanks, Dave. People can find me at the TechSavvyLawyer.page. They can listen to me at the TechSavvyLawyer.page podcast, wherever you get your podcast feeds, including Apple Podcasts. And if you like what I'm doing, please feel free to buy me a coffee that you can find the link at my webpage. Again, the TechSavvyLawyer.page.
Great.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks again. And thank you for listening. We really appreciate you listening. We really enjoyed the show. And we look forward to next week with the big events, and we'll get to hear what's going on next week. But until then, thanks for listening, and we'll talk again soon.